And we're live, another episode of the Treehouse Live, and we got some special guests here, Cody and Mindy. We also got Pack in the house. How you doing, Pack?
Hi guys.
And Mindy was asking me about it, so we're gonna play the intro. We're gonna play the intro here.
Yeah.
There we go. The intro. The intro. Takes a few people to trickle in here because this is not our normal time, but we are here on a Tuesday. We got a fun one planned, some cool guests. We got Mo Biggs in the chat. How you doing, Mo? And we've also got Pack in the house for the first words we heard. That is right. Pack, a lot of people have not seen you in a while. How you doing? What have you been up to, Pack?
I'm doing good. My kids are having summer holidays, so
That is right.
Easy.
Pack is me and Pack are going to Miami for SuperCon in not next weekend, but 2 weekends from now, right, Pack? So
Yep,
it's coming up really soon. And Cody probably knows who Pack is. Isn't that right, Cody?
Do I? Is this the wonderful artist of Elixir?
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Yeah, and so it's very cool to kind of meet everybody. And Mindy is also here. But first, Cody, tell everybody where you're from, because you're.
Oh, okay. I'm from New Mexico, Northern Mountains of New Mexico. Taos, New Mexico is where I spent most of my life. I was born in a slightly bigger town down the way, but I've lived here my whole life. Yeah.
He's the Iron Cowboy himself, Cody. Isn't that right?
Well, I don't know if I'm that, but I certainly do make a comic that has that involved. That's for sure.
We got virtual coins here saying dollar coins here saying virtual hug. That's right.
Howdy right. Dollar. That is my co-editor, co-founder, IronVerse Comics right there. He does the manga Cactus Coyote.
Okay, very cool. Very nice to see you based dollar coins here. We got Mo Biggs always throwing in some links and always reminding me too that we always have new projects going on. Yeah, Sonic to Elixir. We're planning the launch on Indiegogo for end of July. It's just choosing an exact date. But I'll have you know, Mo, that I've reached out to Bancroft. so now it's on his plate for sure. We're gonna try and see if we can get a date. And of course, Lost Magic number 3 is out, and it is going good. If anybody doesn't know Lost Magic, it has 2 days left, or I guess 1 day now, and it is live. And we're going steady. We're going steady here. So lots of fun things happening there. Cody, when I first saw you, I believe I met you on Tyler's our good friend Tyler Carpenter is his name.
Yes, sir.
And he's a lot of fun. He always wants to have some silly goose times. But then we talked about we promoted Elixir, and I would have to say that his fan base was very was good in supporting Elixir, and I was very happy about that, and humbled and everything. And you also did a review, and
I did.
You did a review, and it was there was some tidbits of morsels that I was able to get out of there.
That's all I want. That's all I ever want when I do those. At least that there's some awareness there that it took some time. Show you something that maybe I thought. That's all I ever try to do.
That is right, and I'm pulling some quotes here that are going to probably be used for the for the promo for the marketing push here. But before we get, I'll tell you them in a second. But Mo Biggs says anything but B Rose's channel. It is for the launch stream, and it is I'm in my last ditch effort. My Hail Mary to Bancroft is that listen, if it's not on your show, it's going to be on B Rose's show, and you know what I'm saying. We don't want that. Ouch. So these are my two leading things to kind of lead off with. It'll be like Dash Cody or Dash the Iron Cowboy, however you want it to be called.
Cody works. Cody works. We're
think,
all human. That's what I'm known as.
the exact words were tick, tick, tick. It's like a machine gun fire of a comic book, very staccato. Out of context, it sounded good.
It does.
And here's the next one. I've never read a book like this before. It's super indie.
True.
This isn't something you'll find in the mainstream. It goes very much against convention. And I was like, Cody understands. Cody gets it.
All right. No, I love that. So exactly, in context, anybody's curious, wants us to check out that review. It's the top of the IronVerse Quickies playlist over there on IronVerse Comics, our YouTube channel. Please check that out. But it was both of those quotes, even outside of context, do apply still. And
that is right. That is right. And then you did say at the very end, I hope the core and heart of the story grows into something amazing.
Yes.
And you did say you'd support the second one, and we're always thankful for that.
Absolutely.
You brought up this. You brought up your channel, which you do have, and you do. Do you stream regularly on weekly, or is it just kind of whenever?
I get at least one stream in a week just to check in. Sometimes it's more. Depends on what's on my plate during the week. I've been wrapping up to do draw streams as well. I've been doing a lot of different stuff. I've backed off on the gaming streams for a while. I've been diving into reading primarily, so I haven't been doing that. But yeah, we do all kinds of stuff over there. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of independent comic experience shared on there. So if folks want to deep dive into there, I would much appreciate it and love to hear thoughts.
And here's the IronVerse Quickie,
Yes.
as Cody put it, for Elixir. If anybody wants to check that out, we got some friends. We got a good old General Piggy in the chat. How you doing, General Piggy? Good to see you. Mo Biggs said it the best. Can't wait to get Jack Iron. This will be my first time backing an IronVerse comic. Oh man,
very much appreciated. Very much appreciated. Can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. It's a labor of love that's only exists because quite a few amazing communities.
And I heard that this cowboy is based on you. Is that right, Cody? It's based on. He looks like you. I'll tell you that.
Oh well, there's a lot of stories there, but I'd be taking over the whole stream. I could jog again. Channel's got plenty of that information, but no, it's not based on me. It's based on. I use a lot of symbolism in my work, metaphor, symbolism, whatever, images to represent something else, right? And so a lot of it is thoughts and philosophies and mulling that I did when I was younger that continues for, again, the last 16 years I've been doing this. So there's a lot there. Wouldn't say it's based on me. If there's a character that's actually based on me, it was Maxie, our wonderful artist. The reader stand-in character was relatively based on me. He wanted to do it more heavily on me, but I was like, no, it needs to be more generic. So that's the closest thing. The guy who he's just kind of drunkenly rambling to through the first 3 issues. That's about the closest to me.
I will say though, that the first time I saw you on stream, you had a cowboy hat on, and I was like, this guy. That's the one. That's the one.
Got to have it at the ready. That's how it goes.
I was like, this man is a cowboy if I've ever seen one.
I try.
And we got Mo Big saying Cody has experienced Heroes' channel. Is this true, Cody? Have you experienced the man that knows Heroes?
Yeah, last this previous campaign, he was one of the channels I hit. I think we had a good time. A lot of stuff blurs together for me, but I certainly would have remembered it if it was a negative experience.
So now you know why we can't launch on that show. You know what I'm saying? We need anybody else to launch it.
It tends to not be the platform. It's how you use it. And so I've been very fortunate that a lot of people have been willing, like yourself, to give me a little bit of time to chat about our work over here.
Absolutely. We got Dean here saying good day from the land down under. It's always good to see Dean. He just wakes up and then the first thing he does stops on these streams. So we appreciate Dean a lot. He's over in Australia. And we got Immortal Death God saying Jack Iron's one of my favorite comics, including mainstream. And that's the best way to do it. I hear this a lot, and I feel like a lot of people don't understand that the best storytelling, the most experimental storytelling, stuff that push the boundaries, it's all in indie comics. It's all in crowdfunding. it is not in the mainstream. If you want new forms of storytelling, that's where you're gonna find it. And some people are just finding out about this, and I convinced somebody, and now he's like a treasure hunt trove of like indie comic goodness, looking down in Kickstarters and Indiegogos, and I was like, it's all there. So I'm trying to, it's really is. We're gonna try to get a lot more mainstream readers over. Mindy, how you did a book how long ago was your first book?
So my book, Airhead, it came out fairly recently. It was supposed to come out at the end of January, but got pushed back to early February, which is fine. But yeah, I've been working on this for a really long time. It's kind of ridiculous how long I've worked on it. So like it's been, I would say, over a decade since like the first inception of like the characters, and and then I started to draw it, but then I set it aside for a few years, and when I picked it back up, I was like, no, I'm just gonna change a bunch of stuff, and I redrew everything. I started from scratch, and so it was a process that was definitely not linear at all. But yeah, I'm holding it in my hands right now.
That is right. And I want to say, because you just told me before that you were actually surfing this past weekend, and it's because in this book it's about surfers.
That's true. Well, it's funny because I myself did not surf, but I judged the competition. It was a surfing competition. I'm not a good surfer. I surfed once for research purposes. I would want to surf more, but it's funny because in this comic, it's Airhead. It's about a surfer that sees the future in his dreams, and they surf both in the air and the water. And in the beginning stages, they were mostly surfing in the air, but then the surfing in the water, I wanted to incorporate more of that, if that makes sense. And so I'm it is kind of weird. It's I'm not an avid surfer, but I could be if it's a little expensive.
Mindy, I have an interesting story of how I first came across you and met you, and we'll get into that in a second. First, I want to say hello to AJ. How you doing, AJ?
Hey, what's up, y'all? Can y'all hear me?
We can. You
okay?
Everybody. You look professional.
I apologize so much for being late.
No
I have
worries.
I have a 4-month-old at home,
That's right.
There's a lot
absolutely, that's the perfect excuse, and nobody will.
right before we were supposed to get on, I had to take care of some stuff. Let me shout out Mindy Indy real quick. I'm trying to point to her properly on the because I met her before. Not only did I meet her a couple years ago at New York Comic Con, but we also just recently got reacquainted on Instagram through another random friend that we knew, and he was like, "Oh, check this person out." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, I know that person." And then so it's just crazy how we keep bumping into each other. And your surfing comic looks awesome. That's cool. So I'm gonna be quiet and let y'all continue on with
this. Indie comics. It's a small circle, especially in New York. Which I believe we're all in New York. AJ, me, you, and Mindy.
Yeah. I just moved to Jersey City. Shout out all the brown girls in Jersey City who are trying to save the world. But I'm in Jersey City right now. But that's just a stone's throw from New York. So I'm technically still in New York. So yeah.
Cool. Well, let's check in the chat really quick. Immortal Death God saying, take off the glasses and he could be a desperado. Are they talking about you, Cody, or are they talking about Pac?
I don't know how he doesn't even know that I'm already a desperado. That's the problem. This is the disguise here. Don't want to get caught by those wanted posters.
That's right. Mo Big says B-Rosa channel would be the perfect place to launch a new chicken franchise. That is right. Not our comic book. We got B-Rosa's been quiet lately. I hope he's okay. Well, Dean, it's because hype school is simply too much for him. Hype school is a disaster. I'm just glad he didn't have to take out a student loan for it. Oh boy. We will call it a passing project, and that can take a while. So Dean has something called hype school, where he will take creators and really pick apart their pitch and the way they pitch their book. So it's almost like a pitching school, or hyping up your project. Like he'll teach you how to hype up your project in your book, right? And he takes you through hype school, right? B Rose did not survive. He basically failed hype school. It's like, it was on live. It was he had like I don't know how many people in the live chat, like 25 people were there, and he just crumbled under all the pressure. And it's sometimes it happens. And we'll have to see if he bounces back, if he's like Rocky Balboa, or if he's just, if he just stays down. It's really tough to tell. We got Mo Big saying, oh, that's right, he's dropping all the links here. He's dropping all these links. But Pac, we talked about SuperCon, obviously. But do you have any updates on Elixir? Because I know Cody's very interested on what's happening with Elixir too.
Loved your art on it, by the way. Just adore
I
it.
think we have like 2 to 3 pages left to be done.
Okay. I think it was a 25 pager, and there is 2 or 3 pages left. How do you like them apples, Cody? Is that satisfying?
Oh, I like him. I got to see the full expression, but I love what he's been able to do with the layouts on very filled pages.
That is,
love it.
And we're waiting for Tyler. Tyler said he was going to do a video as well. He said he has good things to say, some not so good things, but he said mostly good, and that's what I was all about. So I can't wait to kind of hear more and spread the word more of Elixir. So AJ, we have dollar coins putting some red apples. I don't know what that means, but I think it means like that forbidden fruit. Maybe that's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about.
Red apples. Yes. I get visions of Snow White when I say red apples.
AJ, you're an interesting guy. How would you introduce yourself to somebody who's never met you before? You just run into them on the street, and then you're like, "Hi, I'm AJ." What do you say next?
I don't know. I like long walks on the beach, but like genuinely like long walks on the beach. I don't like tomatoes, but I really like onions, which is weird. I don't know. I am a graphic novelist and hip hop artist. I don't know what I am. I'm a culture enthusiast. I like making and creating stuff. I spent about 15 years in the music industry as a hip hop artist and producer. I also have been writing for a very long time. I did a lot of screenwriting, and I've worked in film and television a little bit. And I have recently, as of the last few years, made a foray into graphic novel and comic book creation. And I've written some groovy comic books that I am now launching on Kickstarter right now for anyone to take a gander at and see if they like.
That is right. I do. This is your first Kickstarter, right? And I want to show it in a second here. But
this is my first Kickstarter.
This is not your first book, is what you're saying.
Well, so it's a bit unconventional because normally when people launch their first Kickstarter ever, they usually are launching one book, maybe one issue or a couple of issues or whatnot. I'm actually launching 2 graphic novels and 1 comic book. So it's 3 separate different IPs that I've been working for the last 3 years on. The reason it was such an ambitious launch is because I started working on these books maybe about 3-4 years ago, and I had a lot of different aspirations for them. I was going to work with a bunch of different companies. I had different agents, and I ran a gamut of all the different ways you can put out a comic book. And I finally kind of came to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put these out myself. I'm just going to put them out myself, and I'm going to see how the world takes it and see how people feel. So yeah, what you're looking at 3 different graphic novels. One is called Kimmy Cosmic, which is kind of a space cowboy adventure. She is a half human, half alien cowboy who has to fight an evil corporation for the fate of her universe. So there's a lot more going on in that, but I wanted to give you 1 sentence pitch for that.
Right.
And that's Kimmy Cosmic right there.
Kimmy Cosmic. Okay.
And that we have 120 pages of that graphic. So it's a full graphic. So I did 5 issues of it, and I'm just putting it all out there at once. Once again, going a little bit unconventional here. Shout out Emma Galloway. They are the artists who I worked with. They are from the UK, so I want to make sure I shout out the artists who I work with. The second one that you have there is Drone Slayer X. It's kind of an Afro-futuristic, high-octane sci-fi thriller. It's kind of like Iron Man meets Blood Diamond, set in West Africa, Ghana. And yeah, that one is kind of, it's a grayscale comic. That is something that I did with my wife. I want to do a comic starring a female character, so I collaborated with my wife on conceiving this one, Drone Slayer X. She's a gamer, she's a drone racer, and her father is the world's most sophisticated robotics engineer. And a group of revolutionaries wants her father's technology for themselves. So she gets kind of caught in the middle of this not intergalactic. I was about to say intergalactic. I would say international robotics arms race. And that's the story for Drone Slayer X.
Very cool. Before we do the dragon,
you're doing a great job at scrolling. By the way, your scrolling is on point.
I'm curious because I want to ask Cody, and I think I brought something before, but Cody, Cody will tell you as it is. You know what I'm saying? He does not hold back his feelings. He's the iron.
Cody, give me all the smoke, Cody. Bring all the smoke.
Shooter. Straight shooter. All right. No, that's the question here, Armin.
But it is. What did you think of including all 3 graphic novels into one campaign? I'll just preface this saying that, to me, even just scrolling, it feels like it's just too, it's like just having 3, one by one, and then at the end, like a bunch of the credits, it feels like it's too stuffed and not as, nice and, spaced out.
So first thing, I always like to qualify the old Miyamoto Musashi quote. You must understand there's no one way up the mountain. So there's a lot of, what works for me or works for you, Armin, or works for Mindy, won't necessarily work for other folks, right? There's things to learn always, but at the same time, you're walking your own path. In this case, I don't know. I haven't really been able to look at the campaign enough, but I mean, it is a way to do it, right? You're hitting a lot of different demographics. If you can get the eyes on the work, then there's more likely something there that somebody will like. I don't know how the tiers are set up. I haven't looked yet, but I don't think it's a bad idea necessarily off of the bit. My success has been consistent, but it's been weird. So judging from my position is different, right? So at the top of it, I would have to read through everything. But as far as I can tell, the artwork is very quality. I'm very interested in Kimi Cosmic. I really like the bright color palette that was chosen, and the panel work, from what I could see, was very, very engaging. I can't say much else without actually diving onto the page without it just me just talking out my ass, right?
Fair point. So this is why we like Cody, AJ. You know what I'm saying?
Cody, thank you so much for that feedback. I also realized I didn't shout everyone out because I kind of just like wrecking balled my way into this. Armand, thank you so much for inviting me on here. I did not properly thank you. Cody, thank you for that. And Pac. Just wanted to shout everyone else. Cody, you are absolutely 100% right. And Armand, you're also right. My intention was never to launch a Kickstarter with all 3 of these books. But what ended up happening was my wife got pregnant, and I knew I was going to be on paternity leave from my job. So for me, it was just a matter of timing. I knew that I could spend the most time and energy on this campaign right here, right now. And my idea is that, further along the line, I will do individual Kickstarters for the books that are most successful. The Kimi Cosmic Hits right now, it's selling the most right now in terms of tier wise on the campaign. So it seems like people really want that. So I will do a Kickstarter just devoted to Kimi Cosmic, further down the line, where we can really just make the whole campaign just focus on that. But for me right now, just being someone who's trying to break into the industry, and all of the feedback that I've gotten, because I took these books or earlier version of these books from New York Comic Con last October, And I got really amazing feedback when people saw the physical prints of some of these books. And I just didn't know what people wanted. Some people really loved the horror of Dragonface. Other people really love the YA, Steven Universe vibe of Kimmy Cosmic. So I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I don't know. What do I do? And me, I'm the type of guy, I love everything. I'll watch a documentary, I'll watch a rom-com, I'll watch an anime, I'll watch a horror movie. As long as it's good, I'm into it. So I write that way, where I write diverse kind of like genres. So once again, me just being a nerd and just wanting to putting creativity and artwork out in the world, I don't have metrics and analytics from the universe to know what is the best way for me to focus my energy. So this Kickstarter was a way for me to gauge that. So thanks for that feedback. And smart.
Right.
I like that. There's nothing wrong with putting all your cards on the table, especially if you have the faith that you're showing me behind your work. I think that's a very brave and in this case sounds like a very smart move.
Thank you so much.
I want to shout out Immortal Death God saying a lot of good stuff here. Thanks for putting me onto this, Cody.
Thank Armin, not me. I just happened to be here today after we tried a few times before.
That's right, third time's a charm. That's what I told Cody. Didn't even ask him a question. I'm just like, third time's a charm? Question mark?
Yeah. I was hoping. Worked out.
I have a question actually. I don't know if we can ask questions to the room.
What? Absolutely, AJ.
Okay.
You can ask whatever you want.
Do you guys have any experiences with comic book printing and printing your books? Because I have I've worked with Mixum, and Mixum, and generally with the feedback I get from Mixum is that their quality is exceptional, their customer service is fantastic, but their prices are high. Which makes sense. You get what you pay for, I guess, right? So I know there's Comicswellspring or Greco printing or whatnot, and there's a couple other printers, and then some people do international. They print in China with like Alibaba. I heard has the best rates in the world that you can print comics for super cheap over there, and stuff like that. So if you guys have any like advice in regards to printing your books, like even like how many you should print, which printer you should go for, your feedback would be really, really appreciated.
Well, absolutely. We'll jump to that. But first, Mindy, this is actually how I met you, all right? So I called every comic shop in the country. I'm crazy like that, all right? And, I was trying to find a new one because, I wanted to get away from the bigger ones, Comicswellspring, Mixum, all these ones. I would just say Mo Biggs is right. Mixum is just a broker for printers. Their quality can vary depending on the printer they hook you up with. That is what that is 100%. I have problems with Mixum. Their customer service was not there for me. I just and I left them. I will never go back. Comicswellspring has a great customer service chain. They do have their own print. They have their own printers and everything in Michigan. They're super cool. They give you 50% off the prices. So they're my base recommendation. But I called one of these shops in Mindy. I forgot what it was called now. But I was just like, hey, do you guys print comic books? That's always sometimes they're just printers, and then we have to like convince them to print comic books. And then they're like, yeah, we do. And I'm like, oh, do you have any, like, which ones have you printed? He's like, oh, we printed Airheads. And I was like, what? Airheads? And then I didn't know what that was. So I was like, oh, yeah. They were like, yeah, it was a Kickstarter and everything. And I was like, so these guys like printed like only Airheads and maybe like one or two other comic books before. And I had to like go back and search this up. And then I saw Mindy and Indy, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool. So let me reach out to her. And then I reached out to her on our website. And then now here we are meeting for the first time, Mindy.
Oh my gosh. No, that's so funny. I love that. Like, that was Color Vision.
Mindy is secretly connected to everyone in the comic book industry. You just don't know.
Exactly. So
but that's props to you though for being so good at networking though.
Oh, absolutely. Mindy, how did you find Color Vision? That's my first question. Because they're in like, I don't know if they're not in New Mexico. They were somewhere out west.
Minnesota, they're Midwest. Mm-hmm. And so I found them through just like my friend Jenny Wood. She made a comic called Flutter, and it's a couple of comics now. It's like 3 even now. And I really liked the colors on there. We happened to be like, I met her. We were both exhibiting. I think it was Boston Comic Con. This was like many years ago, and I was like, oh, I'll keep that in mind, like, because she used color vision, and you know, when it came time to like research for, you know, my Kickstarter, like to price it out, like who would I go with? You know, really there's so many to choose from, and I'm like, okay, I will go with the one my friend recommended. So that was pretty much it. And it's funny because yeah, they don't have a lot of comics out, but they do some other like books and magazines and stuff, and they sent me samples and stuff, and they're like, and being from the Midwest, they're like super friendly to work with. Like I can call them, and I called them multiple times, especially with this paper shortage thing going on. It was like, it was crazy because like I originally wanted it to get printed in like last December, but like it was some, you know, like everyone's things were like put on hold, you know. But so yeah, it was crazy. I mean, like I recommend going local. I mean, a lot of people's books were delayed that had printed them through China or that some other things, you know, those barges were just like sitting there like waiting, you know. I'm like, I don't know if that's all sorted out or what, but I'm part of this like comics tribe thing through like Tyler James. Like he did this like it's like a Facebook group thing, and it's all about like comics launching, and so I was like part of it for a while. I haven't been into it recently, but like a lot of them were saying that like their stuff, their comics were like on hold for a while because they had printed in China. It was cheaper, but like keep in mind like the way things are going, it might not always be cheaper now because everything's getting more expensive. Factored in the shipping, you know, with the cost of gas to ship or like fly, or I don't know how it goes, but I mean, and
there was like 2 weeks ago, her name was Phoenix, Caden Phoenix. You know, she kind of is printing graphic novels, and she has them flown in from China because to her that's like the best way. I would say take a look at your, you know, budget, AJ. Really check out a lot of these. You know, check out the big ones. Call your local ones because really what it's going to come down to is the price point and the turnaround time. And for me, the best option was Comicswellspring. I would say go to Comicswellspring first. Try to see what the standard is, because that's going to be like the standard price basically. And then see if you can get something better than that. That's what I'll say.
A quick mention about Comicswellspring. Their prices are generally cheaper, but so I'm a stickler about certain type of paper type and like certain printing. Are you guys familiar with the soft touch laminate?
Yep.
So I did the test prints that I did last year that I just wanted to take and show people. I chose a soft touch laminate, and what I discovered is that it made a big difference. Like when you handed it over to someone, the amount of people that actually remarked about how the book physically felt in their hands was surprising. And you know, I don't know, I'm just thinking about printing books and printing comic books as just as a physical quality thing, and it seems like that soft touch laminate makes a difference. And although Comicswellspring is cheaper for if you print a normal book, the mix and price on the soft touch laminate was much cheaper, where Comicswellspring had a huge upcharge for that. And like I said, this is just a very specific thing that I'm being particular about. I'm sure plenty of people don't even care about this, but for me, just having some feedback from people, I was surprised at how many people it made a difference to in regards to just the touch and the feel of the book.
Oh, well, printing graphic novels is a bit different than printing floppy issues as well, and so that extra tactile sensation, like you're talking about, is almost more important because you're getting that more premium experience compared to just a floppy picking up off the edge. My only 2 cents in my experience has been just make sure that you have a good, consistent contact with whatever printer you're dealing with, that you're not just part of the machine or part of their paycheck. Any bad experience I've had is because it was that I was just another number in their rung instead of another person, another creator that they are partnering with to produce something. And so if you get those vibes, I recommend looking elsewhere. If if you're getting treated more as just another paycheck more than a product that you're putting out. My best experience was that personal touch, and that makes a massive difference for me. I need that in basically any aspect of this business. Is I need that personal touch. Otherwise, I'm not doing justice to my own work.
Yeah, you need someone to call, to talk to if there's problems, and it definitely makes a huge difference. And I can, there's one out in Arizona, Ready Comics. They're very nice too. Where do you print, Cody? Where do you print?
I went through API Print Productions with issues 1 through 3, the reprints. Before that, I went through, oh God, who did I go through that other time? It was before Wicked moved over to Comicswellspring. Forgot who those folks were. I've gone through Kablam before, just for print on demand, which is a whole nother beast.
Where did you just print number 4?
I haven't printed number 4. It's in production right now.
Oh, it's in production.
So I'm going to talk to API. My contact at API sadly passed last year after helping me through that. So I need to reestablish those connections and see how that's felt. They do the Iconic Comics books, if folks are interested in that more premium hardcover format. But I had good exchange with this individual, not so much the company. See, and that was the difference. Is the company, when I was treated like a machine within, that wasn't great. But I had somebody within that was 100% on the creator's side, and that made all the difference. And they were the best price I could find anywhere. So I was able to find that balance. But there's some places where you'll get very professional service and you'll get a great product, but you'll pay a little bit more. And there's other ones where you'll be treated like dirt and get a bad product. So it's just finding, again, the same quote I say, there's no one path up. You got to feel it all out and what works for your own personal tool.
Yeah, there's also, I think it's called Artist Express, and they're like super high quality, but they're a little more pricey, but they're like $4 or $5 a book, but that those books are like the highest quality on the market right now. So it really, again, I agree with Cody. That man also sells a lot of books. This man right here, Cody.
I don't know. I mean, I printed quite a book. If I printed a couple thousand through, but that's it depends, right? Again, it's been different for everybody. I've been doing the crowdfunding thing since about 2018, and it's changed significantly even since then. Simply, the world's changed significantly since then. But so it's again, just feel out what feels right to you as an artist, and always keep in mind that this is a business, so there are going to be those who don't have your best interests in mind as much as their own best interests, and don't partner with those folks.
That's right.
I have another question for the room if we have a second.
Yeah. Let me just check in with the chat really quick. Scott K saying howdy everyone. One of my favorite things about Cody's that he's from the South as a cowboy. They have a different lingo than we have. You know what I'm saying? And part of that is howdy. What are some what are some other lingos that you use on the daily, Cody?
So a lot of it is shtick, okay? A lot of it's shtick. It's just the performance. It's just the public face, right?
I don't believe
the true believers. But at the end of the day, like New Mexico's relatively mid-ground. If you want real like lingo and southern accents, you move over to Texas, you move over to Louisiana. You don't get too much of that here. A lot of my bits, a little bit performance for branding, a little bit's just like how I like interacting with people. But yeah, it's part of it. Not much. I don't talk to people. You think I talk to people? I'm a creator, man. I don't even know how I got here.
Really, man? I think you talk to everybody. Southern hospitality, Cody. I feel like you must walk into the bar and then everybody's talking to everybody in the pub, in the saloon.
Different places, different moods. That's for sure. We could build a mystique if you'd like, but it would be a dishonest mystique.
We got Amal Deathgod saying y'all, but I'm from GA.
There you go, Georgia. There's another one.
Howdy, y'all. That's right. And part of the reason I bring this up, Cody, I don't even know if you know this, but I do have a cowgirl comic coming up next month. Not in August. Right? It'll be the first few days of August, and I want to show you her design. But before I do it, I saw something on your channel that not only is there jack irons, but there's something called Jackie irons. Who is Jackie irons, Cody?
So again, most of this, what I do, is built by fans and positive interaction. So when I started out, I ran a bunch of fan art contests. There's a lot of different ways I networked within the community and tried to put forward in the community. Jack Irons is just a manifestation of that. There was some weird fan art contest that was going on that was doing gender bends of characters, and Jack was one of them that was picked up, and so I had a couple different Jackie Irons out of that. Just the name was pretty easy to go with. I just wanted something like that, and so she's just a manifestation of that people have enjoyed. So she's made a couple returns. Not much more beyond that.
Got it. Yeah, I was curious if you were gonna take start a whole new series or something. But before we do, Moby says please don't ask Cody about Santa in case kids are watching. He's a sharpshooter. He's a straight shooter. So that's how they do it down south. You don't.
Well, I also appreciate the power of magic, good sir, and that is one that can be very useful. So I don't know if I'd shoot that down. I don't know if
Multiverse Jack Irons. Nah, what is he saying? That's true. I don't know, Cody. It's an idea. It's an idea.
See how much time we got. I got a lot to say and not much time to do it.
We got over here. Okay, so this is my and part of the reason I need to hang around with you more, Cody, is I need to learn the lingo of how she's talking. You know what I'm saying?
Read a lot of Jonah Hex. If you can get through that, then you'll understand as bad as it gets. I try and choose my words more specifically. I work more on poetry style writing than actual narrative, or even I let the vibe speak for my characters more than specific dialogue choices. But if you want like cowboy southern, you read Jonah Hex, and if you're understanding it, then you're getting an idea. It's written very phonetically to communicate his very, very southern accent. And so
right.
That would be a good one for research.
Well, what do you think of the design here, Cody? You're the only one who can legitimately critique her, because
you're going for sex appeal right off the bat, and that's cool. It tends to not be what I do because it takes away from what I'm trying to say otherwise. But I would have to again, for me, character designs need to speak to the story. Otherwise, it's just fluff. So I need to know what else and why she chose that outfit, what it means to her. It could just be fun. It could just be your design choice. But I only will really know that through reading the story. I like the color choice. Pretty girl. Besides that, I don't know what else to say. It's kind of Bruce Timm. I like that. It's very Bruce Timm inspired, and he likes his pretty ladies as well.
There we go. I like that.
All right, guys, it's time for me to go.
All right, Pac. We'll see you in Miami in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's right.
All right, guys.
I just wanted to showcase the very first words of when I became a true fan of Cody, and it's right here. I'm Jack Irons. Folks call me the Steel Cowboy. And now you had me. You know what I'm saying? You had me at that line right there. And I was like, what does the Steel Cowboy even mean to you? And how do you come up with such a cool name? And if it's steel, why isn't it Jack Steel versus Jack Irons? You know what I'm saying?
There's a lot of reasons. So I choose everything from the character design to the stories I'm telling. Everything is chosen very specifically to communicate a greater concept that usually is glanced over. Jack Irons, the concept of the folk hero, very American, Eurocentric, but it was picked up quite a bit by American folktale. I wanted a folk hero name, also because of Samurai Jack and a lot of the parallels that his story and Jack Irons' story has. Irons, it's slang for pistols as well as imprisonment. You're in irons, right? So that was that bit. The Steel Cowboy refers to how people would visualize him or see him as this legendary character. It's more of that nickname, Stephen King, the Gunslinger. That ain't his name, but that's what he's known as. So it's one of those bits. And so it's steel because he has not been broken. And cowboy, obviously. So that was the bit, right? That's part of how it communicates it. When I was originally, I came up with this, and it was about 15, 16. It was, I'm a big heavy metal fan, so there's a lot of that too. I wanted metal in there. So there's a lot of different
angles. Did you say you came up with this when you were 15 or 16 years old? Is that what you said?
Yeah. First couple, in fact, issue number 1 is very close to verbatim what I wrote when I was about 15.
Oh, that's awesome. How long has it been since, what is that? For the first issue to come out, 5 years? How long?
For the first issue, so I just turned 30 last month, so it's been about for the first issue it was about 12 to 13
Oh
years
man,
till it physically manifested. But there was 4 years before that where it had line art and I had my artist attached, and we've been working together for better part of a decade now.
That's amazing.
Incredible
like
Argentinian artist.
asking people these questions and getting to because I think people need to know how long it takes and how much drive and momentum that they need to have to get things done. And we had it really opened my mind when Corey Hardiman, he does Sister Mercy on Kickstarter. He told me it was 10 years in the making, just like you, where he didn't even he didn't even get pages done until 10 years after he had the idea, was writing it. He just kept putting it off, and I was like, that's quite amazing, and now you have 4 in, it's but then when you pick it up and then you get the process down, you can do them a lot faster.
Yes.
Yeah, it really takes a long time. I'm really glad to hear more people saying that they took 10 years to do their comic, and then I don't feel as bad. Because really, you don't think this up overnight. It has to cook for a while, to be a better story. Airhead is a better story for taking 10 years than if I had done it in 2010. If I could, I didn't even know how. But now I actually have the skills.
Yeah, you're a better writer. You learn things along the way. You build an audience. You know what I'm saying? You learn how to market it. I just want to jump into the chat because I'm all Death Guy saying I love it, but I'm a man and I also like the color scheme, in direct contradiction to you, Cody. Sorry about the lunar smoke design. I'm kidding, but
I don't know yet. I don't know. Again, I gotta judge why. I can see
Cody's a man of the
story. I don't know why.
He's a man of the comics. We have speaking of a man who takes forever, look at the B-rolls over here. He was mentioned earlier. He was mentioned earlier, and then he's saying hail, and he's saying FN YouTube didn't even notify. I don't know if we believe him. Message. We have to have a vote if we believe B-Rose if he actually didn't get notified or not. You know what I'm saying? Or is he just late? We'll have to find out. We'll find out. We got Rich Iola in the chat here from Roachball saying pit stain empanadas for all my floppy neck homies down on the D block. So you know how you guys are down south and have your own lingo. This man has his own lingo as well, Rich Iola, and he has a great book out called Roachballs. Yes. And hail the chat, and he has that nice little roach emoji that we always like. Beers is saying WTF, Rich. But we have a Moral Death God saying he wears steel plating and tough as steel, which I guess is why he's called.
That's a good chunk of it. You got to read the issues to see the other chunk of it. Actually, the other one thing led to the other thing. But again, read the
Bureaus, I'm glad to see you're okay. That is right. We were talking earlier about how he failed high school, and it was a tough taken. You know what I'm saying? So some other students were bullying him, and it was funny because it was mainly just Dean talking the entire time when it was supposed to be B-Rolls talking the entire time. But that's to each school their own. You ain't about that life, B-Rolls. That is right. The B-Rolls is not about that life. He's asking if you're old, man. No, first of all, I would not consider 30 old, but I would say that I was just more curious about how long it took you to finish the book, which I ask everybody. Sorry about not streaming Sunday. I was on 656's channel. I don't know what that means. I think he just Bureaus is trying to come up with some more excuses of why he's been absent and why he's arguably been late to the stream. See what he says. What hooked me on Jack Irons was the dialogue and art and mainly the cool character designs of the Four Horsemen. Yeah, I agree. I thought you including the Four Horsemen was so classic cowboy. I was like, it cannot be more of a cowboy story than including, something called the Four Horsemen. So. Scott K saying I really like the Jack Irons Horsemen. I'm looking forward to having fun with them.
He does. He so also with issue number 4, not only are you getting the 15-page digital Ashcan of Cactus Coyote, which $1 coins was here earlier, you also get the 5-page introductory to The Recluse, which is our 3rd series under IronVerse Comics.
Can you guys explain to me what Ashcan means? I know I feel like I should know what that.
It's a mini comic, basically. It's not a full length comic book. Basically, is the term. Some people do them smaller. Like I worked with a company called Ashcan Publishing that do short stories. We call those Ashcans, and they were about 15 to 30 pages, but they were printed smaller, more digest size. Called those Ashcans, but most of the time an Ashcan is kind of a preview, usually like 5 to 15 pages of a work, and it can be printed smaller. Sometimes it's about the same size, but it's usually just a way to say this isn't a full-size floppy comic.
Got it.
Sometimes it's black and white. Sometimes it's just a smaller colored version. Sometimes it's it's really people use it to mean many things is what I've learned, but some people just like it's just a preview. You know what I'm saying? Like Cody was saying, sometimes it's a black and white edition of the book, just ink line art, no letters or anything like that. But yeah, definitely I would encourage everybody to do Ashcan's a black and white version of their books, just because people like line arts, and you don't have to really come up with new artwork. It's already there. So I will definitely say that. We have
I started out doing mini comics or Ashcans like when I was doing Comic Cons, and that really helped me. Like before Airhead was out, like I did a mini preview comic of it as an Ashcan.
Yep.
And that it helps kind of create the momentum, and get the word out.
Buzz, spread the word, get some fans on it. Absolutely. And that's why it's something you can just hand out to people, and you don't have to worry about, them saying no or something. I feel like they'll read it. We got Mo Big saying back to read room so B-Rose can afford counseling. This is from this hype school dropout phase, you know what I'm saying, we're talking about. And something that Ollie's finally started on the colors. So his talk about somebody who has been taking a long time to finish his book. B-Rose knows, because I think his campaign ended, and he's still trying to get the artwork done. So he just started the colors. And what's funny? There was we were trying to help him get counseling. We're also trying. He was on a stream on Sunday, 656, saying that he needs to get out of the ghetto. But I thought it was hilarious because he just moved into a new apartment and he chose to move into the ghetto. So he has no excuse. B-Rose. You know what I'm saying? Also, I think my friend is going to order issue 1 of Jack Irons because I let my friend borrow it. So happy about that.
That'd be great. That's how I've gotten anything done here, is word of mouth and quality speaking for itself.
That is right. I was talking to Steve. His name was Steve Cannon. Do you know the man I'm talking about? Great guy.
Yes,
great
indeed.
Guy.
He is our wonderful colorist. He's also right now on a ongoing series from Scout Comics called By the Horns.
By the Horns.
Totally recommend checking that out.
We had a great long conversation, and the first thing I said was, I know you from Cody, and I was telling him how the whole community rallied around you guys. And he said, he said he heard something about that, but he wasn't fully part of it. And I was like, all right, he just is nose to the grindstone trying to color those pages.
That's my art team. That's what it's always been. That's why they've gotten so far. Is I do a lot of this. They do their job, and very, very, very well. Yeah, I make sure they get paid well for it.
Absolutely, yeah. And Steve Cannon is great, and he's just a cool guy to talk to. But yeah, AJ, you said you had a question earlier, and but before we got to that question, I met you on a Twitter space, something we're trying to do more of actually, and it was Anthony Stokes. He has a Twitter space. He's another comic creator, has a nice platform on Twitter, and he will actually be joining us next week. It'll be the next a little teaser over there. But AJ, that's how I met you. How do you have another question for us?
Yeah, it's kind of like a 2-part question. I guess it feels a little retroactive now because we were talking about it like 10 minutes ago, but about the whole comic book printing thing. But your chat person in chat, Mo Biggs, said something.
Phenomenon, Mo Biggs. Yeah. What about?
Said something about Mix'em is really a front for other printers. And that's not the first person who's told me that.
Yes.
And, sometimes I'm wondering how many of these printing companies are actually doing the printing themselves, or are they just like drop shipping other printers?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. And the answer is, I would, it's funny. I was having this conversation. His name is Arith, very smart guy. I'm sure Cody knows him. but he was saying that there is no difference in turnaround. The difference in turnaround time is between ordering something somewhere abroad in China and even ordering in the U.S. It's the same time, because U.S. companies are ordering their paper and everything from China. So it's pretty funny, like hearing him say that. But yeah, it's something that you don't think about if you don't know. I don't think people will just randomly know that Mixum doesn't have their own printers, in-house, in their offices, and are just printing these books. But again, it's like, yeah, because they don't advertise it like that. But if you know the industry and you kind of understand, like, but it's okay, for what Mixum does. If you just, you're basically outsourcing things to them, and they're outsourcing it within their, it's their business chain or supply chain. But yeah, I mean, if it bothers you, then definitely go to local.
Another big point with all this, again, and we kind of touched on it, was print runs. Basically anything under 500, if you can find something local, go with that. Like, your price isn't going to change, your shipping is going to be much better, you can actually meet with the people who are printing it, right? Like, do that if you're doing anything under 500, because you got to break about 1,000 with any of these printers to get a deal. It's just how it goes.
Yeah,
and you gotta logistically, if you can sell 1,000 or more, please do it. Go that way. That's how you should do it. But if you can't, then you gotta kind of weigh these different angles of whether or not it's worth your time to deal with these folks when you're not getting really a better price than if you dealt with your local fella. And storage is another big one too. If you're depending on what your orders are, and that's the nice thing about doing crowdfunding, is you get an idea of what your pre-orders like, so you can scale your print run. Some people are very smart about, they know how many books they want to print, and that's what they do. That's a good way to do it, especially if you have an established fan base and you can count on that going, or you have plans for conventions. You have these other avenues besides the Kickstarter or the GoGo. But if you're doing the Kickstarter or the GoGo, you can kind of judge that. If you can break that 1,000 backers, very few do, then that gives you an idea. But sometimes you can do bulk store orders, or maybe the price break is good enough that, sure, you only need about 300 books, but it is actually worth it, and you budgeted correctly to print 1,000, and you have plans to sell those 1,000 through your own storefront or through conventions or through any other filter to sell them. But you definitely have to figure that out. I've never printed more than 500 of each book, so I've continuously tried to figure out whether or not there's a local printer that's worth my time, because dealing with them is probably directly, and being able to avoid those shipping costs when you're dealing in bulk, it's probably worth it.
Good point. Has everyone here crowdfunded before?
Absolutely. That's what unites us, AJ.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're all Indy. We all crowdfund. Mindy, I just realized this because Cody, you had mentioned before that you're going to start doing draw streams. Are you an artist, Cody?
I've been doing draw streams, and no, not per se, but one of the rally points that helped us get funded was me doing sketch cards. A lot of people, again, if you're a creator in this kind of space, they support you as a creator, and so that was an angle that I was like, well, I can show a little extra dedication here, and so I hesitate to call myself an artist, though I do work in a lot of different mediums, and the point is what I consider artistic expression. But different people will consider that differently. Am I a line artist? No, I'm a terrible line artist. Am I a colorist? No, not at all. There's a lot of different roles within artistry that I wouldn't consider myself, but generally and overall, I try and put on a good performance with a decent momentum.
You're the philosopher that we all need in our lives. You know what I'm saying, Cody?
That's what I try and do with the work. That's the hope. I've been told people need Jack Irons. That's why I did the 4 campaign to begin with. So, because I can do this. I love it. I appreciate it. But it takes so much out of me. Every campaign is just so draining to get it done that it's like, if I could just do the work, I would just do the work. But sadly, the work entails many other angles that have to be done. Somebody's got to do it, so I'm happy to do it.
Mindy, so Cody, that's actually, I'm sorry, I didn't mean.
No, sorry. Are you an artist? I was just off this because is that because I just realized, do you draw everything of Airheads?
Oh, me? Yes. I'm the writer and the artist. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
I saw that credit.
That's why it's another reason why it's taken forever to do. But there are pros and cons to being both. I can change the script last minute, or I can change other stuff. It's just in my head. I don't have to communicate with another person. I did hire the letterer, which, as you see from my script goes, yes, I hired Clay Adams, who did amazing lettering, which that was different letterings than what you saw in that preview. That was just like,
okay.
That was just like me doing that like in 5
That's
seconds.
very cool. Yeah, and I'm curious, how does that affect your timeline? Like when can we expect the second book? Is it going to be Airheads number 2?
Ooh, there will be. I'm working on it right now, actually. So I have a page right here. It's still traditionally drawn. And sorry about the lighting. Like the lighting is, well, for my studio, like it's just I don't like too many bright lights, and so that's why like I don't have like a bright light shining in my face like other people do. But so yeah, I mean these LED lights, they give me insomnia, so that's a whole other story. Anyway, so yes, Airhead number 2 is about a third of the way drawn, and it's coming along much faster than number 1. It will not take 10 years to do. You know, I know what I'm doing. I'm streamlined, and I hope to have a Kickstarter for it at the end of the summer. It would be really cool to have like some kind of beach launch party or something. I'm not sure. I'm aiming for that. It might be September. I don't know. But
did you just say a beach launch party? Mindy, guess who's going to be there, and guess who's going to fly? Guess Cody's flying in.
I guess so.
That would be sweet if people actually flew in for my Kickstarter. That would be like amazing. That would be unprecedented. But
AJ,
yeah,
are you gonna do a beach launch party for Mindy Indy's Airhead? AJ's so sure. But yeah, that sounds super cool. And Long Island is surrounded by beaches, so there's definitely lots of good places you can choose.
Definitely, yeah. I'll have to see. I'm kind of like stuck to it now that I've said it on this live stream.
You said it live.
I'm going to have to do it. It's not just throwing it out there as an idea. It's just like
that's right. That is right. Dollar Coin saying Mindy has some tall ceilings. That is right, Mindy. You got some tall ceilings, some tall ideas.
Studio, yeah. These are like I don't know, like 12-foot or 14-foot ceilings. Some people build they build lofts in them.
Okay.
But I don't really like need that much space, but like I'm still trying to like figure out. I recently switched art studios. So like I don't have like as much stuff on the walls, but I have like a little bit.
All right, got some things for comics up there. Start hanging your comics. I don't look at Cody. Cody's room is crazy.
Yeah.
Fan of everything. What are those posters mostly, or?
Okay, so these are all like Patreon exclusive covers from the comic series Rags. This one in particular, but it's just stuff. There's album covers right here, metal album covers. I
want to hear some music from those speakers, some metal from those huge speakers.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Have my hat fly off while I'm just like listening to some.
Oh yeah, that's what I blast. I mean, whenever I feel like it. It just happened to be a good place for me to do this kind of work, so it was easy for me to set it up. This ends up being my personal studio, and built a drawing table, that kind of stuff that I can move and set up here, and then leaves the rest of the house for other things, so I can leave that space and do other things.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's just I try and surround myself with things I like and influences and inspirations. I'm pretty sure a lot of people do that.
Cody, have you ever rode in a horse, or do you have a horse that you ride?
I do not have a horse. I have ridden on a horse.
Oh man, we got to find those pictures. But maybe I'll find if it's on Instagram. We kind of have to wrap this up. We have a lot of people in the chat. Hopefully you guys have some new fans who want them to follow you guys. So we're just gonna go in a circle, and you can tell them what you're working on, where you can be followed. Before we get into that, though, AJ wants to say something.
Meanwhile, I'm in the baby room, by the way. Definitely no metal or high ceilings in here, unfortunately. No, I just wanted to thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. We don't really know each other, and you allowed me to grace your podcast and yammer about. So thank you very much, guys.
That's what we do here in Indie Comics, isn't that right, Cody? Cody knows.
Yes, indeed. That's what we always do. We gotta. It's a cacophony and a bunch of noises out there, so we gotta listen to each other and see what clicks with us, right, and support it as we can.
Right, a cornucopia, exactly. So I just put my link for my Kickstarter. We got 8 days left. If you guys want to check it out, I got a really cool visceral horror graphic novel on there. a really cool science fantasy YA graphic novel and an Afrofuturistic comic on there for you guys to check out. And thank you, Cody. Thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Armand, for letting me be on here. I just wanted to, I don't know, just ask you guys really quickly, how much of your comic book career is based on crowdfunding? And I don't know if we have time for you guys to answer that. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll give a percentage wise. I would say, it's about half right now. Definitely a little bit, maybe a little bit more, but we're trying to get it. I think that's a good medium. I think, I don't know why crowdfunding wouldn't be the first line of raising funds. I would say it should always be. And people ask me like, well, should it become less? And I don't think so. I think it should always be like the first wave. I think it's the first piece of a much larger sales puzzle. So that's, there's so many other ways that you can sell your book, but I think that's always like the first thing to go for. Cody, maybe you can answer a percentage and also give your social media follow.
All right. So financially, it's about 99%. But overall, like creation wise, yes, about 90% of what I've done has happened because of that. It's the only way, right, that I was able to do any of this. So I'm very grateful for crowdfunding and networking. It's like it would not be possible. So I definitely take no shame in it. Again, I produced the line art for issue number 1 out of pocket when I met this line artist, and he went for a stupid, crazy low rate because he wanted to work with me, I guess. And we clicked. I don't know. That story is for another time. But yeah, it's a long, fun story. But nonetheless, like again, there's no one way up this mountain, and crowdfunding is a wonderful tool to get, like Armin was saying, that ignition point. It's super important. So yeah, I totally recommend that. If you folks are interested in our work over at IronVerse Comics, check out IronVerseComics.com. Up at the top, we have our links. You can purchase our books. You can check out our merch. You can read issue 1 of Jack Irons for free. You can read the 40-page manga of Cactus Coyote for free. And all under contact. We're on all the social media, so anywhere you want to find us is there. My biggest account and the one that I've found the most footing is Twitter at @cowboy_steel. If you folks want to connect there, I'm always retweeting and trying to promote and build an independent comic space we can all be kind of proud of and appreciate being part of.
Absolutely.
And if you would, I'm also on YouTube if you guys want to check that out, IronVerse Comics.
That is right. Cody threw out a quote in there about there's no one way up the mountain. I will also throw in another quote to reply to Cody's quote. That is the hungry wolf was climbing. The wolf was climbing up the mountain is hungrier than the wolf on the top of the mountain. You believe that?
Yes.
I strongly believe that.
True.
And it's all about ambition and hunger. Before we get into you, Mindy, let's just jump into this chat. We got Mo Big saying hail the panel, hail the chat. Dollar Coin says Cody lives in the wilderness. He has to hunt buffalo in the morning.
Live on the mesa, but we do have a buffalo high. A whole story behind that too.
He has chickens too. Don't tell Mo Biggs this. I mean, I don't tell B-Rose this because B-Rose will come and find you and eat your chickens. Gotta hide.
Yeah, he's gonna eat some lead if he eats my chicken.
You got Eggy, 2, and Bob.
Yeah, he named them. I don't name the chickens.
Howdy, Dollar Coins. He said howdy. There we go. And then he said tips. Dollar Coins didn't even say it. He just tipped his hat. I thought that was hilarious. Mindy, where can we find you?
So I'm most active on Instagram as MindyIndy_art. And you can go to MindyIndy.com. I kind of redid the website a little bit, but that's like in progress. I don't even have my whole like folio out there, but it's progressing. But yeah, I mean, for the let's see, I'm not really on Twitter all that much, but it's Mindy_Indy. Because I know that a lot of people are like just on Twitter. It's like, but I use mostly Instagram and Facebook. It's just Mindy Indy Comics. Yeah. But yeah, as to your question, like crowdfunding, I did one Kickstarter and I've had a Patreon for the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. But I'm mostly a freelance artist. And so I'd say that the crowdfunding in terms of my scope of just like how I make money is probably only 20% because I do mainly like illustration and other comics and animation for my freelance work. That's how I pay my actual bills. So for people need to understand that like you shouldn't be paying your rent through Kickstarter. Like you should be going and paying your printing costs, paying your artists and stuff like that. If you factored in rent there, it's just weird because it's like you throw a pie chart in there about like, where is this money going to? And it's like, oh, this is going to rent, going to food. It's like, I don't really see that. I mean, like it would have to be like thousands and thousands of dollars more. Mm-hmm. So like that's the thing that people need to understand. It's like, I don't know, honestly, how some people can only do Kickstarters for like their life or only do crowdfunding because you need to make money somewhere else. And there's
one piece, right? That's it's not.
Yeah, it's a piece of it. And it's okay to have a day job. Like it's okay to not be a full-time artist. Like I've had various random jobs. Like I just worked in an art supply store for a really long time, or like, I do graphic design work. I was a graphic designer. It was a full-time job for many years, before moving to New York. And that's a good skill to have, as an artist. So, like I would say like crowdfunding is great. It also takes a certain kind of like, I should say this, like if you're more outgoing, crowdfunding is more for you. If you're
Cody does so well.
Yeah.
No, I
can see that. I can see that.
And on that point real quick, because I know we're trying to wrap up, but 100% day job. Like I've never, like I don't make money off of my work. It all goes to pay these artists a significantly above a professional rate. I do it because I love it, because I love telling these stories, because I need to. And so I've been working at a pet resort for like 5 years now. It's just like, do what you need to do. Again, no one way.
That's right. We got some special guests in the house. We got Dan Plagle, also known as Boom Dad Dan Art, strikes again. He's in the treehouse saying hello, friends. We got to get him back on. We all love Dan Plagle. And we got Joe Corallo. Joe Corallo saying, "Oh, hey, Mindy, you got some fans here already." And Joe is a very well-established writer and editor in the indie comic world, and not even in mainstream comic world too. So it's always nice to have him around. We got some special guests coming at the very end. That's very cool. So we got where we can find you, Mindy. AJ, do you say where people can find you really quick? But before that, Cody, can you tell people to subscribe? They'll listen to you, Cody. I have a good feeling.
So I know you're here already. So it doesn't take much. Just go ahead, click that red button that says subscribe, join the treehouse, and have some fun with some wonderful indie talent and a exceptional host.
That's right. Cannot have said it better myself, and that's why Cody said. All right, AJ, take us out. Where can people find you?
Thank you. Just thank you guys for having me here. This has been a great experience. Got a wealth of information. Mindy, Indy, it was great reconnecting with you again. Check me out at earthtoneking.com, because that's kind of like where you can just find everything. You can find a link to my Kickstarter, everything like that. On the socials, unfortunately I signed up for Twitter a long time ago, so I'm locked into my old Twitter account because they gave me a blue check for whatever dumb reason. So my Twitter is actually, it's PSO now, ITSPSONOW. But if you want to see me on IG, I'm PSO_earthtone_king. But once again, if you just go to just go to earthtoneking.com, and you can kind of, everything's there for you to find whatever you
amazing
need from me.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I hope you guys had a good time. I always like to, thanks to the chat, I always like to end with one word. We'll be back next Wednesday, 6 p.m. This was a special Tuesday night episode. And we'll be back next Wednesday, usual time. I always like to end the show with somebody saying one word, and it usually chose by random. But for now, thanks for hanging out in the treehouse. And the last word will go to Mindy. Take us out.
One word? Oh, do you mean like a word like just like fuck?